Okay, so itong quantum physics, okay, is a course that will allow you to learn about yung concepts ng quantum physics, quantum mechanics in a much deeper level kumpara dun sa Physics 104. Okay, uh, tawag dito, on top of yung concepts na natutunan nyo na from Physics 104 will also introduce some new way or new formalism on how to treat quantum physics concepts, yung matrix mechanics, tawag dito, then propagation matrices to describe yung concepts ng tunneling, how what semiconductors are, how their energy band diagrams are formed, bakit may mga band gaps, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then we'll see where we end up since continuation naman dito ng physics. Magko-continue naman yung concept sa 182. So kung ano man yung kulang sa 181 na hindi na-cover, ay pwedeng ma-cover sa 182. And vice versa. Kung halimbawa maaga tayo, pwede tayo mag-cover ng concept sa 182. Okay. So basically, ganun yung mangyayari. For this course, anong mathematical proficiency yung kailangan ninyo? Well, you need to be able to know, to understand, to know how to integrate. Okay, so maraming integral ng mga sine, cosine, trigonometric functions na gagawin. Okay, marunong din dapat kayong mag-code, MATLAB, or Python, pero yung mga codes na available dun sa references are actually in MATLAB. So, I suppose may access pa rin naman kayo sa MATLAB. But you can, of course, convert it to Python if you are more familiar with Python. Ano bang ginamit niyo sa 131? MATLAB. Okay. Sige. So it's good kasi MATLAB din yung pwede natin gamitin dito. Kung both, then it's also fine. You can submit later your solutions if required either in MATLAB or in Python. And hopefully you should result to the same solution. Okay, so yun yung mangyayari dito sa Physics 181. Okay, kailan ba nag-start ang quantum physics? Well, we'll begin yung lesson, okay, with this picture. Okay, so this is a picture, okay, probably the most intelligent picture ever taken. Okay, a picture of all the physicists nung time ng 1927 in the Solvay Conference on Quantum Mechanics. Okay, so at that time, nagsisimula nang mag-pick up yung quantum physics and quantum mechanics at marami ng concepts na pinagdedebatehan in terms of yung interpretation. Okay, so basically, yung Solvay Conference is a foundational gathering, okay, in quantum mechanics, held in Brussels noong October 1927. And meron 29 na physicists nun. And 17 of these physicists, yun yung mga nakalabel dyan sa image. Lahat sila ay Nobel Prize winners. So yung 17 na Nobel Prize winners ay nakalabel dito sa image. But you can also see other physicists there like Picard, Henriot, Ehrenfest. You'll hear his name in solid state physics. Herzen, de Donder, so yun. Then Langevin, narinig niyo na siguro sa classical mechanics. Okay, but of course, yung mga familiar dyan, syempre nandiyan si Albert Einstein, okay, si Marie Curie, si Bragg Compton para sa mga X-rays, Debye sa solid state physics, De Broglie, Pauli, Schrödinger, Heisenberg, Born, Niels Bohr, Wilson Richardson. So yan, mga famous na names yan pagdating sa textbook names, in fact, pagdating sa quantum physics. Okay, isa sa mga pinagtalunan nila noong dito sa conference na ito ay yung sinabi ni Einstein na God does not play dice with the universe. Okay, and Einstein is one of the firm believers that you can actually predict yung behavior ng systems in the way that classical physics can predict it. Okay. Bohr stands on the other hand, sabi niya, Einstein stopped telling God what to do. Okay, kasi pinagtatalunan nila dito yung probabilistic, okay, na uh, interpretation, okay, ng uh, ng quantum physics, okay, versus yung deterministic na interpretation, okay, na pinuput forward ni Einstein. Okay, and it was also at this conference kung saan na-establish yung tinatawag na Copenhagen interpretation, na ang nag-pioneer sila Niels Bohr, Werner Heisenberg, and Max Born. Okay, so dito sinasabi nila na ang quantum physics is ay mayroong probabilistic na framework that you can interpret yung behavior ng mga systems, ng particles through probability theory. Okay, and from ito rin yung nagmark ng transition, okay, from classical physics to quantum physics. Okay, we'll understand more kung ano yung distinction between classical physics and quantum physics. Although I suppose sa Physics 104 nagkaroon na rin kayo ng idea, more or less, kung ano yung talaga yung differences between them. Okay, and syempre, okay, kung babalikan natin tong picture na ito, okay, this is a group picture of sabihin na natin, the most intelligent beings on the planet nung time na yan. Okay, you can never find another picture like this. Okay, and wag na wag niyo ikukumpara yung mga pictures niyo from your organizations or from class, 'di ba? So, yan ang social media nila nung panahon na yan. Okay, and I don't know if you know, yung mga cameras noon ay malalaki, tapos merong hawak na flash, 'di ba? Na malaki din, tapos nagbo-burst lang ng light yung flash na yon. Tapos nakatalukbong pa yung cameraman dun sa viewfinder ng camera, and then sila kailangan nilang mag-hold steady for about 15-30 seconds, 'di ba? Para makuhanan lang ng picture. And hindi nila alam yung kalalabasan until the picture is developed. Hindi tulad ng mga cellphones na ginagamit natin ngayon. Okay? So, yan. There can never be another picture like that ever, I think. Kasi ngayon, pag nag-conference ka, tignan nyo, conference nila, 29 lang na tao. Ngayon, ang mga conferences composed of so many people. 100 participants is mas maliit na yung 100 participants. Okay. Okay, so let's just discuss briefly yung history ng quantum physics. Okay, so kailan ba nag-start yung discussion about quantum physics? Okay, of course yung discussion na ito really tawag dito. Maybe arguably pwede siyang nag-start sa concept ng light. So, in electromagnetism, if you recall, yung concept yung light itself is a wave, 'di ba? Describe natin siya as an electromagnetic wave, kung saan yung both electric field at saka magnetic field ay tawag dito, in synergy with each other, and perpendicular sila sa isa't isa, and yung propagation nila is precisely yung propagation ng light. Okay? But sometime in the early 20th century, okay, there was this experiment on a black body radiation, the detection of black body radiation. So pinag-aralan nila kung ano yung energy density or intensity na lumalabas from a black body radiation and as a function of frequency. So kung papansinin nyo dito, yung x-axis is 10 to the 15 hertz or 10 to the 15 hertz. Okay, which means na ito ay nandoon sa right visible ultraviolet na region. Okay, and ang nakita nila dito is that yung curve actually starts from zero and then rises up. Okay, and then peaks at some particular frequency. Depende kung ano yung temperature ng black body. And then it starts to dip after nung peak. So nagkakaroon ng tail towards the higher end of the frequency. Okay, tawag dito, when they try to sort of predict yung behavior nito, okay, predict, pag sinabing predict, meaning gumawa sila ng mga theory at tawag dito, nag-develop sila ng mga equations to try to predict yung behavior, okay, hindi sila nag-succeed. Okay, yung isa sa mga, ano dito, yung isa sa mga, tawag dito, naggumamit nung ano na to, or nag-try na mag-predict nung behavior na ito ay sila Rayleigh Jean, okay, si Rayleigh at saka si Jean. Okay? So meron sila nung Rayleigh Jean na formula nung 1900. Pero ang basis nila for this formula is in terms of electromagnetism. Okay? So what they said, so yung yung Rayleigh Jean equation or formula, okay, ay written as US omega equals sa KBT, yung thermal energy, and then pi squared C cube omega squared. Okay? So, ito yung ginamit nilang base sa electromagnetic field theory. Ito yung na-derive nila na equation. And kung titignan nyo lang yung equation itself, yung intensity o yung energy density is actually proportional to omega squared. Remember that omega is 2 pi f or 2 pi nu. Okay? So, and if you plot it against yung graph na ito, yung plot na lalabas ay yung solid, well actually yung solid dash at saka itong group of lines na ito. Yan. Okay? So yung group of lines na yan yung lalabas. And yan ang, of course, yan ang itsura ng ano, 'di ba? Omega squared na dependence. Okay? Omega squared na ano, na function. Okay? So it's a quadratic function. And it only agrees with experiment for low frequencies. So dito sa region na yan. Doon lang nag-agree yung experiment at saka yung Rayleigh-Jean's formula. Okay? So for low frequencies. So for the large part, yung mga natitirang part, okay, hindi nila na-predict ng tama. It's actually incorrect. Okay? Kaya ang tawag nila dyan ay yung ultraviolet na catastrophe. Okay? Kasi wala, maling-mali, di ba? So it's a problem that they really need to solve. Okay? Papansin nyo, medyo madrama rin sila nung time na yon, di ba? So, sabi nila, oh, it's a catastrophe na hindi natin solve yung equation na ito. Then came, yun na nga, si Max Planck. Okay, and yung pinropose niya rito, okay, is that, oops, what if we write the energy in terms of this equation? Okay? And when he used that equation, he didn't know kung anong physical meaning ng equation na yan. Okay? So, in-incorporate niya yung equation na yan dun sa dun sa electromagnetic theory. Okay? And ang lumabas, okay, na equation for the energy density is this. H omega cube pi squared c cube, then 1 over exponential h omega over k b t minus 1. Okay? And if you graph that equation, it fits perfectly with yung mga curves na napipredict na nakuha nila dun sa experiment. Okay? So, by making use of this assumption, Max Planck was able to derive this equation. But again, at that time, hindi pa nila naintindihan kung paano i-interpret yung kung paano i-interpret. Bakit, ano yung ibig sabihin ng E equals H bar omega? Bakit specific frequencies lang yung kailangan? Okay, na energy. Okay, para makuha yung energy density. Okay, so that was the question at that time. Okay, then came Albert Einstein. Okay, noong 1905, nag-publish siya ng paper on the photoelectric effect. Okay, Albert Einstein actually published 5 papers noong 1905. Kaya yung 1905 ay tinatawag na Annus Mirabilis or year of the miracle or miracle year for Albert Einstein. And it's not just 5 papers na pare-parehong topic. They are entirely different topics. Well, dalawa doon medyo similar. Okay? Yung isa is the photoelectric effect. Yung isa ay tawag dito, special theory of relativity. Yung pangalawa ay general theory. Hindi, yung general theory pala later pa niya yun. And then Brownian motion, uh, meron din yata siya sa electromagnetic theory. Ay, hindi ko na maalala yung iba. Pero yun, entirely different topics yung tinakal niya na problem yun. But he was awarded a Nobel Prize for this photoelectric effect. Okay, ano ba tong photoelectric effect nito? Basically, ang sinasabi niya rito is that if you allow light to hit a metal, the surface of a metal, okay, pwede kang makakuha ng electrons. Okay, pwede kang maka-detect ng electrons na na-eject from the surface of the metal. But not in all instances. Okay, you can only do that, okay, as long as yung energy, okay, nung light, okay, is greater than the electron potential, okay, of the metal, work function of the metal. Okay, so ang tawag dito is the work function. Okay, and so merong limit. So yeah, merong limit sa pag-eject ng energy, and nagdedepende yan sa iba't ibang metal. Okay, nagdedepende sa iba't ibang metal kasi iba-ibang metal ay iba-iba yung work function. Okay? And then, basically, yung equation na ginamit niya rito is H bar omega minus E phi W, kung saan ito ang T na to is the kinetic energy of the electron. Okay? Kinetic energy. So, pag nag-strike ka ng light, okay, with this amount of energy, okay, greater than yung potential na work function, okay, yung electron mo ay magkakaroon ng excess energy, okay, equal to the difference between those two energies. Okay, and that was tawag dito, that was easily observed and now na tawag dito and predicted using yung photoelectric effect na concept na dinevelop ni Einstein. Now, ano ang assumption ni Einstein dito? Ang assumption niya is that yung energy ng photon, okay, yung photon energy ay equal sa h bar omega, which is exactly this one. So, imagine niyo nung time na yun, okay, nandoon si tawag dito, Max Planck. Sinabi niya na, oh, ginamit ko tong equation na ito. Okay, pero hindi nila naintindihan kung bakit. And then, pumasok si Einstein. Sinabi niya, ginamit ko din tong equation na ito at nasolve ko tong problem na ito. And in this problem, in this concept ng photoelectric effect, okay, the idea here is hindi ka makaka-eject ng particle, okay, with waves, but you can eject particles with another particle. So, okay, anong implication nito? Anong klaseng particle yung pwede nating i-associate sa electromagnetic wave? Yun yung tinatanong nila noon. So dito na nagsimula yung discussion and debate about whether yung light ay nagbe-behave also as a particle, so much similar to yung electron. Okay? And the thing is, yung particle na yun has to have a specific energy para makapagpa-eject ng electron. Okay? So, at that time, okay, pinagdedebatehan nila to, pinag-uusapan nila. But now, we know this particle of light as, okay, we call the particle of light as a photon. Okay? So, photon has zero mass. Okay, alam niyo yan from relativity theory. Okay, and it also carries momentum. And yung momentum nung photon at yung energy ng photon is responsible for allowing electrons to be ejected from the surface of metals. Okay? So, yan. So, after ni Einstein na develop yung concept ng discreteness of light, so ibig sabihin na develop yung concept ng photons. Okay? Then, okay, so imagine niyo nagiging from classical physics sa kung saan continuous yung lahat ng behavior ng systems ng physical parameters nagiging quantized na. Okay? Energy is quantized, sabi ni Max Planck. Energy is quantized, sabi ni Einstein, and it's called a photon. Okay? Then came Niels Bohr. Okay? Now, for Niels Bohr, ang dinevelop niya naman dito ay yung model ng atom. So, of course, ang isang puzzle dito is anong tawag dito? Ang meron na silang model nung atom na noon in their minds. Okay, and it's not a fabric of their imagination. It's a series of experiments that were done, okay, by Thomson, Rutherford. Okay, kaya nila na-develop itong concept na ito. Okay, so sinabi nila using from experiments ni Thomson at saka ni Rutherford na realize nila na merong very dense, okay, na, na thing, okay, na region, okay, dun sa isang atom or dun sa isang particle. Okay? And around that dense particle, meron ka nung mga electrons. Okay? And tawag dito, So ang naging model nila nung time na yon for the atom was that tinawag nila na nucleus yung dense na region na yon. Okay, and then may electrons na umiikot around the nucleus. But here's the issue. Kung meron kang electrons na umiikot around the nucleus, okay, paano niya na-maintain yung orbit niya? And kasi yung electron ma-attract siya dapat sa nucleus kasi yung nucleus has a positive charge because of the proton. And alam nila na positive yung charge na yun dahil nga sa mga experiments na ginagawa nila Rutherford at saka ni Thomson. Okay, so ang tawag dito, ma-attract yung electron na yung papunta sa nucleus. And if the electron is attracted, then ibig sabihin, magsa-spiral yung electron ay magsa-spiral towards the nucleus. But if the electron spirals towards the nucleus, ibig sabihin dapat mag-emit din siya ng energy in the form of light. Okay? But that is not observed at all in any type of experiment na pinerform nila to prove this theory. Okay? So Bohr said, okay, what if yung electrons ay confined lang in certain regions? Okay, at yun nga yung lumabas dun sa kanyang calculations. Okay, sinabi niya na yung electrons are confined lang to these energy levels. So n equals 1 is called the ground state. Then n equals 2, 3, 4 and so on and so forth are called the excited states. Okay, and then confined nga lang yung mga electrons in this region. And pag lumipat sila from one energy level to the other, so halimbawa umakyat sila, okay, they need energy para umakyat. Okay, and they can get that energy from a photon. Okay, but after some time, yung electron na yun ay magre-relax. And when that relaxes, okay, mag-emit ng photon yung, yung electron na yun. Okay, and yung emission ng photon na yun, okay, is yung energy ng photon, okay, will be equal to the difference in energy levels, okay, between these two between these two orbital between these two energies. Okay? And tawag dito yung prediction kung gaano kalaki yung energy na yon ay yung equation na yan. Precisely the same equation na ginamit ni Planck and yung equation na ginamit din ni Einstein. So imagine niyo unti-unti nang nabubuo yung quantum physics because this equation, yung equation na yan keeps popping up, okay, dun sa kanilang mga ginagawang mga experiments. Okay, of course ang puzzle dito is that again, how can the electron maintain its orbit at bakit siya may specific lang na tawag dito na orbit? Okay? Ah, yung reason na yan ay sinagot ni ah, tawag dito wait, ano nga name niya? De Broglie. Okay, De Broglie. Okay. So, kung narinig niyo na sa Physics 104, si Louis de Broglie, hinhypothesize niya na yung electron, okay, okay, which was thought of to behave as a particle before, also behaves as a wave. Okay? So, ganito yung nangyayari, no? Dati sabi nila, yung light, it's a wave. And then dumating tong sila Max Planck at saka si Einstein. Sabi, particle din siya. So light is both a particle and a wave. Before that, sabi ng mga tao, an electron is a particle. And then, to sort of, one of the things to sort of prove yung model ni Bohr, atomic model ni Bohr, is dapat, sabi ni De Broglie, yung electrons also behave as a wave. Bakit? Bakit ganon? Okay, so if electrons behaved as a wave, then ang mangyayari dyan, okay, paano mo ba masasabi na may specific energy lang tong energy level na ito? Yun nga, the only way for that to happen is if electrons behave as a wave. So imagine niyo na meron kayong string. Okay, sorry sa napakaganda kong drawing. Okay, imagine niyo na meron kayong ganyang string na may wave. And the only way na makokonect niyo yung ends ng string is merong specific na wavelength. Okay, corresponding to yung orbit. Okay, so dapat yung circumference na yan, okay, ay proportional dun sa wavelength, okay, nung electron. Okay, and we all know na tawag dito, yung speed of light is lambda times nu. Okay, so related yung lambda with the frequency. Okay, so each orbit ay merong specific na energy because the electron is a wave with a specific wavelength. Okay, yun yung idea dyan. And that's the only way to explain kung bakit ka merong energy levels na ganyan. So each energy level has an electron with a different wavelength. Okay, corresponding to the energy of that level. Okay, now the thing to remember din dito is that when Bohr derived this atomic model. Okay, yung mathematics na involved dito, okay, well, sabihin na natin algebra. Okay? So he used classical na mathematics. Okay? Then tawag dito then came, okay, yung ibang physicists, particularly si Heisenberg and si Schrödinger. First, si Heisenberg, dinevelop niya yung mathematical formulation for quantum physics. Okay? Yun yung pag-aaralan natin, okay, through this course. Starting with dito sa Physics 181 in particular. Sorry, excuse me. Um, then si Schrödinger, sinabi niya, okay, siya yung nag-complete ng formulation. Okay, at sinabi niya na we can describe particles using a wave function. Okay, now intindihin niyo mabuti yung yung implication on particle, pero ang description mo is a wave function. Okay, so now you're treating particle. Okay, you're saying that the particle behaves as a wave, which is actually yung proposition nga ni Louis de Broglie. Okay, so now at that time, nung nabuo yan ni Schrödinger, tsaka ni Heisenberg, kung titignan niyo yung years, 1925, 1926, a year later, nandun na yung fifth na Solvay Conference ng 1927, at doon na nila finormalize, okay, yung idea na probabilistic, okay, yung nature, okay, nung quantum, yung behavior ng quantum particles. Okay, ng mga particles, okay, na nagbe-behave in terms of quantum physics. Okay? So, then, after 1927, okay, nagsimula ng mag-improve, mag-develop yung technology. So, dumating na yung semiconductors, lasers were developed, transistors were developed, yung quantum electrodynamics was also developed. Quantum electrodynamics is just the merging of quantum physics and electromagnetism. Okay, electromagnetic theory. Okay, then further towards the end of the 20th century, you have MRIs, squids, superconducting interference devices, okay, entanglement theory. Then ngayon, sa turn of the century, early the 21st century, and yung quantum computing at saka cryptography. Okay, so imagine niyo no, early the 2000, okay, ganyan yung early 1900s, ganyan yung knowledge natin. Okay, and then a century later, nandito na tayo sa quantum computing, and we're starting to build quantum computers. Okay, um, so yan. Okay. Any questions? Okay, so medyo conceptual pa yung approach natin ngayon. Pero we're going to move na to a little bit of mathematics and a little bit of a review din para sa inyo. Okay, I hope na pinag-aralan niyo to sa ano sa Physics 104. Hanggang saan kayo sa Physics 104 if I may ask? Relativity? Pero na pinag-aralan niyo ba tong ano? Wait, relativity? Yun yung huling-huli yung topic? Hindi ba yung first topic yun? Hanggang Schrödinger equation. Okay, ano yung pinag-aralan yung mga concepts? Anong tawag dito? Pinag-aralan niyo ba yung tunneling? Narinig niyo na ba yung word na tunneling? No, anong no tunneling? Okay, slight lang. Okay. So, pinag-aralan niyo yung potential barrier, potential well. Magkaiba yung potential barrier at saka potential well. Yung barrier is pataas and then yung well pababa kasi well nga siya, diba? Okay. Okay, sige. I think that's fair enough. Okay, para sa Physics 104. Okay, okay. So we'll start with Schrödinger's equation. Okay, Schrödinger's independent na. Time dependent na Schrödinger equation. So we write Schrödinger's equation. Okay, so yung time dependent na Schrödinger equation. Okay, in this manner. Well, of course, Schrödinger's equation is just nothing but the Hamiltonian, di ba? We'll begin with that. Okay, Hamiltonian, okay, from classical physics is the sum of the kinetic and potential energy of the system. Basically, Schrödinger equation is the Newton's laws of motion sa classical physics. So, sa classical physics, you start with Newton's laws of motion to solve the problem. Okay. And sa classical mechanics, you actually to derive yung ano yung equations of motion, okay, you use Newton's laws of motion. Sa Schrödinger equation, sa quantum physics, you begin with Schrödinger's equation. Um, yung kinetic energy na term, okay, is medyo straightforward. Okay? Pero yung potential energy na term, yan yung nag-iiba-iba depende sa system. Okay? And that actually, yan ang mga sinusolve na problems ng mga tao. Okay, so yung simplest system, of course, is the hydrogen atom. Okay, wherein you have one electron and one proton. Okay, so yung simplest system is the hydrogen atom. Okay, one nucleus, oops, and one electron. Okay, orbiting, ah, orbiting the nucleus. Okay, so ano yung potential dito? Naalala niyo ba kung anong potential dito? It's proportional to 1 over r squared. Okay, actually it's kqr squared, electrostatic potential. Okay, so yan yung simplest. Okay, then tawag dito, and pag-aaralan natin to in the context of Schrodinger's equation. Okay, tawag dito, then you have other types of system. Okay, like for example, yung nga, potential well, potential barrier, iba rin yung potential na ginagamit doon. Kung naalala niyo sa Physics 104 ninyo, for a potential well, zero siya everywhere except dun sa region ng well, di ba? Potential barrier, ganun din. So yung potential is zero everywhere except dun sa barrier. So ito yung nagbabago. Yan yung nagbabago. And every time there's a new system, ang gagawin nyo is ipa-plug in nyo yung potential ng system na yun. Siyempre, you derive the potential of that system first. Add it to the kinetic energy, then you have your Hamiltonian. And that Hamiltonian is actually used para masulat yung Schrodinger's equation. Okay, so the Schrodinger's equation, time-dependent Schrodinger equation, is written as this. So, yung Hamiltonian, lalagyan ko to ng caret at i-explain ko mamaya kung bakit ko nilagyan yan. Okay, and then partial with respect to x operating on psi of xt and then plus v of xt psi of xt. Okay. Ano tong psi of xt? Yan yung wave function. Okay, that describes, okay, the particle. Okay, the behavior of the particle. So papansin nyo, it's dependent on both the position and time. Okay, ito yung kinetic energy na term. Okay, it's just the second derivative, okay, of the wave function. Okay, then ito yung potential energy na term. Okay, and some potential energies have time dependence. Okay, yung mga pinag-aralan niyo sa 104, they have no time dependence. Okay, which of course makes it simpler, okay, to solve, makes it easier to solve. Pero meron silang positional dependence. Okay, yung potential well, potential barrier, oh, by the way, this is a one-dimensional time-dependent Schrodinger equation. Okay, yung potential well tsaka potential barrier, tawag dito. Wait, hindi pala to time dependent, time independent to. Sige, anyway. Yung potential barrier is dependent only on one dimension, di ba? Along the x-axis. So, in that case, madali siyang isolve kasi you can just simply use Cartesian coordinate system. But if you look closely dito sa hydrogen atom, for example, yung potential is in terms of yung radius. And of course, yung radius is the same, yung distance from where the electron is hanggang sa nucleus around the orbit is the same. So yung radius actually is yung symmetric na dito na parameter. Okay? And usually, and mas madaling mag-solve ng problem if you express yung coordinate system nyo in terms of kung ano yung parameter na symmetric. In this case, the symmetry is with respect to the radius. So when later on when we start solving for the hydrogen atom, okay, the potential of the hydrogen atom and plug it in Schrodinger's equation, ang gagamitin nating coordinate system ay spherical polar na coordinate system. Kasi yun yung coordinate system na kung saan symmetric yung R. Okay? Okay. So, yun. So, magdedepende yun sa ano. So, magdedepende nga yun sa kung ano yung potential na gagamitin na pinag-aaralan ninyo. Okay? Okay. So, in general, okay, we can write yung Schrodinger equation like this, okay, to indicate not just one dimension, okay, okay, but three or n dimensions. Okay. Okay, now, bakit natin sinulat itong yan, yung mga terms na yan na merong caret sa ibabaw. Ibig sabihin caret yan, yan. Okay. Alam niyo naman yan, ano? Karet. Hindi yung kinakain. Okay? Ang ibig sabihin niya pag naglagay ka ng caret is that yung uh, letter na yan, okay, ay nag-act as an operator. So this is called a Hamiltonian operator. Okay. Ano ibig sabihin pag operator? Well, actually, familiar naman na kayo sa operator as a concept, pero hindi lang natin siya ginagamit na operator. This is an operator. It's a derivative operator. Okay, ang ginagawa niyan, ang function niyan is to take the derivative of the wave function. Okay, so the Hamiltonian actually is a derivative na operator acting on the wave function. Okay, and then merong or maraming mga operators sa quantum physics. Okay, Hamiltonian is an energy operator, but you also have positional operators. Okay, so position, okay, sa classical theory, ginagamit natin ng R. Sa quantum, so sa classical mechanics, and then sa quantum physics, quantum mechanics, ginagamit natin ay R. Potential, okay, it doesn't act as an operator. Okay, so ganyan pa rin natin siya isusulat. Okay, but momentum is also an operator. Okay, so R, and then here we have uh, P. Okay, and you can write it as this. Okay, so it's also a derivative operator. Maintindihan niyo kung paano nangyari yan later. Okay, at i-derive natin yung equation na yun. Okay, so energy, okay, is okay, ganyan siya. Scalar quantity sa classical physics, but in quantum physics. Sorry. Quantum physics. No, sorry. Energy, so kinetic energy. Okay, lalagay ko dito kinetic energy. Okay, is actually negative h bar squared. No, dali ah. Okay. Energy is I h bar partial with respect to time. So you only see this pag tinitingnan natin yung time dependent na, ano, na Schrodinger equation. Okay? So yan. So yan yung mga operators sa quantum physics. And may encounter natin yan later then when we try to solve a problem. So, yung Hamiltonian operator na yan, okay, we write as negative h bar squared over 2 m naught del squared plus yung potential in R. Okay, so yan yung ating Hamiltonian na operator. Okay? Now, if for a brief moment we separate yung wave function into two wave functions, psi of x and phi of t, okay, then we can apply separation of variables. Okay? Ilalagay natin yan dun sa one-dimensional na ano natin. Okay? So, ilalagay natin yan dun sa one-dimensional na equation. Okay? Diyan. Okay? At ano ang mangyayari in that case? So, we have negative h bar squared over 2m. Okay? Partial with respect to x squared. Okay? psi of x, phi of t, equal plus uh, b of x, uh, psi of x, phi of t. Okay, isa rin sa mga assumption dito is that b of x, okay, walang time dependence. Okay, equal sa I h bar partial with respect to t. So using yung time-dependent na Schrodinger equation, psi x and then phi of, of t. Okay, and from here, this, tsaka this. Okay, so syempre ito ilalabas yun na yan, ano, dahil time-dependent nga siya. Okay, pwede nyo na rin ilabas yan, factor out. Okay, and from here, eto, ah, plus this one, yan yung Hamiltonian na operator ninyo. Okay, and yung Hamiltonian operator, when it acts on the wave function, it will give you an eigenvalue, right? So if you recall, Hamiltonian operator acting on a wave function will give you an eigenvalue E, okay, H bar, E times psi. So ibig sabihin, this one, okay, will be equal to yung energy. Okay, operating on the wave function. Okay. So kaya ito, yan yung energy term na makikita nyo dito. Okay. So yan. Now, even though we applied separation of variables, this type of definition for the energy operator is still holds kahit na kahit na hindi separable yung x and t. Okay. Now, yung phi of t na yan, okay, for our purposes, okay, ay pwede na natin isulat as exponential negative I omega t. Okay. So it's just a simple na tawag dito exponential na function, okay, that is dependent on tawag dito the frequency of oscillation of the wave. Okay. Okay, that describes yung particle. If you recall, yung energy is equal to h bar omega. Okay? Any questions so far? Wala? Okay. So, when we remove yung ano na yan, yung tawag dito, if we rewrite this, so after all of this, di ba? Tatanggalin din natin yung phi of t sa labas. So actually we are left with this equation. Negative h bar squared over 2m partial respect to x squared plus v of x, and then psi of x ay equal na sa e psi of x. Okay? So ito yung left-hand side, right-hand side, and then ito yung left-hand side. Ito, at saka, yan. Okay? This operator operates on that. Okay? And it will still, after that operation, ilalabas pa rin, pwede mo pa rin ilabas yung phi of t. Okay, so hindi ko na inaano yung mathematics. Okay, so we're just briefly going through these equations. Okay. So ito yung ating time-independent na Schrödinger equation. And yeah, ito naman yung time dependence. So ang idea dito is, again, ang idea is first determine yung v of x, then insert yung v of x in a Schrödinger equation, and then you have a second order differential equation, and then solve for psi of x. Okay, and if you want to get the time dependence, multiply, okay, tawag dito, psi of x by phi of t, which is given by this equation. Okay, simple steps. Okay, pero tawag dito, still simple, depende sa system. Pero of course, as you build upon this, as you discover materials, okay, then nag-iiba yung potential. So mag-iiba rin yung paraan nyo na pag-solve ng wave function. Okay, now after we obtain the wave function, okay, so now that we know kung ano yung wave function, ano nang pwede natin gawin dyan? Anong klaseng interpretation yung gagawin natin dyan? First, ano ba muna yung mga properties ng wave function? Okay? Okay, so first, yung wave function has to be orthogonal. Okay, naintindihan nyo naman yung DNM, ano? Delta NM na yun, no? So, 1 if n is equal to m, and 0 if n is not equal to m. So, orthogonality. So, wave functions must be orthogonal. Okay, next is that yung wave functions na yan, it can be interpreted um, dali, okay, such that okay, yung probability yeah, ng wave function na yan is so P, probability P is equal to psi n star psi n or psi n r modulus squared. Remember na kailangan yung i-apply yung ano na yan, yung complex conjugate. Well, actually, in general, it's an adjoint. Okay, pero yung adjoint kasi is if you recall sa 1-to-1 siguro, yung adjoint is transpose and then yung I, so yung asterisk na yan, means lahat ng I ay papalitan nyo ng negative I. Okay? So, yeah. Pag complex conjugate, ganyan yung ginagawa nyo. Pero pag tawag dito, in general, hindi lang siya complex conjugate. It's a Hermitian operation na tatranspose nyo muna and then tawag dito, apply nyo yung complex conjugate. Okay, so, ang symbol na ginagamit for that is a dagger. Okay. So, dito, apply nyo yung transpose and then papalitan yung I ng negative I. Okay. We'll learn you're going to use that later. So para mas maintindihan niyo lang din. Okay, what kind of information din ang pwede natin makuha dito? Ano bang ibig sabihin muna ng ng probability? So pag sinabing probability, so it's a probability na makita mo yung particle over a certain region. And I think it's one of the things that you learned from Physics 104, hopefully. Okay, what else? So you can also get the expectation value. Okay, so this is probability P, capital N. So ang expectation value, okay, is actually written as this. Expectation value of A is equal to integral from negative infinity to infinity ng psi star r of t, and then yung operator na A, and then psi r of t, and then d3r. Okay. Now, bakit ko siya sinulat na ganito? At bakit yung operator yung kinukuha ng expectation value? Well, if you haven't noticed yet, dito sinabi natin na yung H ay isang operator. And what kind of information can we get? When we operate H on the wave function, we get yung energy eigenvalue. In other words, we get yung energy ng system, okay, or energy ng particle. Okay. So, and sinabi rin natin from this table na merong mga operators such as R, yung position, at saka momentum. Okay. So, yung operators, they're actually observables. These are, in other words, these are yung measurable na quantities. So there's an expectation value for R, meaning ano yung most likely position nung particle over space. There's an expectation value for momentum, meaning ano yung most likely position nung most likely momentum nung particle over space. Okay? And notice na ang ginagamit kong term is most likely kasi probabilistic. Okay, yung discussions natin dito. Okay, energy. Okay, ano yung tawag dito? Expectation value ng energy. And in other words, ang sinasagot natin dyan yung ano bang in-expect natin na energy or most probable na energy nung particle. Okay. So yun yung mga typical na sinosolve natin. Okay. Energy, okay, and position, momentum. Yun yung mga makukuha natin from the expectation value. So the expectation value is actually a measurement of the observable. So if you want to get the expectation value of an observable, you're actually measuring yung variable na yun. Okay. Okay, so pwede na natin idagdag dito for number 5. Okay, we can get yung expectation value nung operator. And to get the expectation value, we need yung wave functions. Diba? Kung napansin nyo, nakasulat pa rin dyan yung wave functions. Okay, kahit na ang observable yung inaano natin. Okay, expectation value. Okay, we can also get yung probability. Okay, na makita mo yung particle over space or probability na may yung particle ay may ganyang momentum. Now, if we're talking about probability, then it's not just the expectation value that we're getting, but it's also yung tawag dito, range of values over which probably meron yung particle na yan. So, halimbawa, pag sinabi natin it's, tawag dito, a particle is in a position x, let's say equal to 0.5. Okay? That's highly probable. Okay? Pero pwede rin siya sa 0.49, 0.51, pwede rin siya sa 0.45, 0.55. Okay? Pero yung probability, mas mababa na. Okay? So, in other words, okay, if this is position X and if this is the and that is the probability, your probability function may look like this. Na kung saan ito yung most probable na position niya na makukuha nyo from the expectation value. Okay? But you can, tawag dito, determine itong width na ito. Okay? So, ano yung width na yan? First of all, i-divide nyo yung peak by 2. So, this is half maximum. Okay? And ano yung width at that half maximum? So, ang tawag dyan is full width at half maximum. Okay? At yung width na yan, yan yung tinatawag natin na standard deviation for X. Okay? Or in quantum physics, ang tawag natin sa kanya ay uncertainty in the position. Okay? The smaller that value is, okay, mas certain ka na yung particle ay nasa position. Okay, so imagine niyo to. Kung maliit lang yung width niya, then mas sigurado kayo na yung particle ay nasa position na x na. Right? Pero kung sobrang lapad niya ng width, okay, hindi kayo sigurado kung nasan siya banda. Maraming mga choices. Di ba? Maraming pagpipilian kung nasan pwede yung particle. Okay, so that's how you interpret yung uncertainty. And of course, you've heard about the uncertainty principle from Physics 104 na kung saan sinasabi na yung uncertainty in position, okay, is dependent on the uncertainty in time, in momentum. So, if you're very certain kung kung nasaan yung particle, ang consequence nun is hindi mo alam kung gaano kabilis yung particle. Sobrang baba sobrang taas nung uncertainty sa momentum ng particle. If you're very certain sa momentum ng particle, then wala kang idea, okay, kung nasaan yung particle kasi yung uncertainty in position ay sobrang laki. Okay? Any questions? So yan yung mga ano, no, mga gagamitin natin para mag-derive ng mga, well, gagamitin natin na yan yung mga i-derive natin basically. Yes, tulad din sa 173, ipopost ko yung notes at saka yung videos nung lecture natin. Okay. Nakita niyo na ba yung notes sa 173? Sinend ko na sa email. So kung paano ko shinare yon sa 173, ganun ko rin siya i-share sa 181. Okay, by the way, ang ginagamit nating reference dito ay Levi. Dalawa lang naman yung references nandun sa ano. So now we're in chapter 2 of Levi. Any more questions? Okay. Wala nang tanong? Okay, sige. I'll stop here muna. Okay, para lang tawag dito. So essentially ito na yung uh, kailangan natin gawin sa 181. Okay, siguro just a quick summary lang. Okay, so magiging routine ito. Ganito yung magiging routine. Okay. First, ano yung system? Ano yung potential ng system? Okay? So nilagay natin dito. Then, i-insert nyo yung potential ng system sa Schrodinger equation. Solve for psi of x, tas i-multiply nyo yung, if you want to get the time dependence, i-multiply nyo yung psi of x with yung equation for the time dependence. And then you can also get your expectation value and yung probability. Okay, and from there, pwede nyo nang i-describe kung ano yung nangyayari sa system. Paulit-ulit natin yung gagawin. So, ang nangyayari lang sa Physics 181 is pinapalit-palitan natin yung potential. Okay, so we're going to start with the potential well, potential barrier. Okay, then we're going to solve it by hand. And then, mag-introduce tayo ng tawag dito, mathematical na ano na or computational na paraan para isolve yung potential barrier and potential well. Okay. And then from the computational part, pwede tayo magdagdag ng 2, 3, 4 hanggang n or infinite barrier in fact. Okay. Kasi siyempre nga naman pag by hand yung gagawin yung infinite, it's difficult, di ba? Pwede rin natin i-squeeze yung well, okay, yung width ng well para magkaroon tayo ng delta function potential. Okay, solve natin yan by hand and also computationally. Titignan natin yan. Okay, then sa bandang third quarter or yeah, well, second quarter actually, or second part, mag-introduce tayo ng bagong formalism which is yung Dirac notation of formalism. Okay, yung Bra and Ketna notation, if you've heard of that, gagamitin na natin. Then, pag-aaralan natin yung harmonic oscillator, which is a fundamental concept din sa quantum physics because if you understand how harmonic oscillator works, then you can approximate any system, okay, any potential using a harmonic oscillator. Okay. And then, siguro, I think aabutan natin yung hydrogen atom. So, yung last part natin is i-derive natin yung hydrogen atom, okay, using spherical polar coordinates. Okay. And ipapakita natin na yung na-solve ni Bohr, okay, using simple algebra, ay madederive natin exactly using Schrodinger equation. Okay? And yun. So, yun na yung magiging coverage ng 181. So, next meeting, mathematics na tayo. Mag-integrate tayo. So please review yung inyong mathematics pagdating sa integration. Okay? Or at least maging prepared kayo mentally na mag-absorb ng mathematical na derivations. Okay, so kung wala na kayong tanong, then sige, may tanong. Yes. So, ang tanong ng isa niyong kaklase is, since our grading is entirely based on exams, will we be expected to write or use code as part of the exams, or is the coding mainly for learning and understanding the concepts? Yes, magko-code kayo for the exams. But sa kanyo na alalahanin yung yung kung paano siya i-conduct. Hindi ko kayo ipagko-code during the exam. Okay. Okay. But thank you for asking. And it will be included. Coding will be part of the exam. Yes, Ivan.
Sir, um, sa question about sa 173, sir, regarding sa grade, sir, yung nakalagay lang, sir, is 80% for the exam, sir, and then 20% for the lab. Yung mga quizzes, sir, saan mapupunta, sir? Sa,
Typically, inaano ko yan, dinaragdag ko yan sa exams.
ah, sige, sige,
Parang bonus points yung ganun.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mhm. Any other questions? Most probably, ganun din yung gagawin ko sa 181. Kasi wala naman tayong quizzes eh. Actually, alam niyo naman na hirap mag-check. Actually, nakakatamad mag-check. Pero ano pa? Okay na? Sige. So then, I'll see you. Ay, sorry, one more thing. Medyo sketchy yung ano natin, ano, mga meetings natin. Alam ko online tayo ngayon and then online tayo sa Friday. And then sa next Wednesday, hindi tayo magmi-meet pero bibigyan ko kayo ng task. Then next Friday, which is August 21, um, tawag dito.